Ohio has a rich history of people and places that have made big impacts locally, nationally, and sometimes around the world. Today we celebrate a couple of Ohio's historic institutions as they recognize important milestones. First up, we head to Marion, Ohio to visit the Warren G. Harding Presidential Sites. It's been 100 years since President Harding passed away, and the museum has a fascinating collection about his life. Producer Diana Bergman had the opportunity to learn more about their collection and also check out a few items in their vault.
Representative democracy was proclaimed the safe agency of highest human freedom. America headed the forward procession of civil, human, and religious liberty, which ultimately will affect the liberation of all mankind.
Whenever you visit any museum, there are always collections out that you can see. But a lot of times they keep collections in stores that the public does not get to see. Well, today we're at the Warren G. Harding Presidential Library and Museum, where they're getting things out of the vault for us to look at, and I'm looking forward to seeing some of the items. Sherry, it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So we're here in Marion, Ohio at the Warren G. Harding Presidential Sites. Can you tell us a little bit more about the site?
I'd be happy to. We have an unusual setup here in that we have an historic home where the Hardings lived for 30 years prior to going to the White House. We have a brand new Presidential Library and Museum, and we have the nearby presidential grave site where President and Mrs. Harding have been laid to rest. So seeing all three sites in one town is unusual.
So when was Warren G. Harding president?
He was president from 1921 to 23. So he died in the midst of his first term, 29 months in office, but he's got a full story to tell, and that's what we do here.
I'm looking forward to seeing stuff in your collection. Can we go look at it?
Let's do it.
All right.
This museum is chronologically laid out, so you'll start with the early life of both Warren and Florence Harding. We have more than 5,000 objects in our collections. Wow. And so you're just seeing a small portion. But a couple things to point out. Warren's father was a homeopathic physician. This is his medical bag. Florence has her side saddle there. That dates to 1870. Got it when she was just 10 years old. So a lot of things that tell us about the personalities of the Hardings you'll find in the museum. The piano was made in 1860, and it's called a cycloid piano. It has 3 legs, and that's what Florence learned to play on. She was trained as a classical pianist, and then as Warren goes into adulthood, he talks 2 friends into buying a little downtrodden newspaper here called the Marion Daily Star. And we have his key to the office. And what I like about the key is he carried it in his pocket even while he was president. He felt that connection to what he always considered himself to be, was a newspaper man. So politics is the next stage of Warren's life. And that newspaper career he started was that natural springboard. This is actually his Ohio Senate desk.
How long was he a senator?
He was a senator just for 1 term, and then he becomes lieutenant governor of Ohio, runs for governor, but he loses that election, and then he's elected to the U.S. Senate. So he is our first sitting senator to be elected president. So this is it.
Wow.
This is what Warren Harding wore to his inauguration. March 4th, 1921, he is inaugurated our 29th president. The podium is the very one that he used. And the interesting thing about that day was there was an amplification system used for the very first time. We're going to get a little flair for Florence's taste now, and we're going to see something that the public usually doesn't get close to.
All right, let's go look at it.
So this is Mrs. Harding's reproducing piano. And this is a very sophisticated player piano. A lot of opera singers advertise that they use this brand or that brand of reproducing piano to practice with.
So it's really important for her to have one like this.
Absolutely, because remember, she's got that classical music background. And I'm going to turn it on so you can hear what it sounded like. We had this restored because we wanted people to be able to hear what the Hardings heard. You heard what the Hardings heard 100 years ago.
That's amazing.
Music, a big part of their life. But that's not all I have to show you today. I've got some things from collection storage that I pulled out especially for you.
All right, let's go see them.
Wonderful.
So Sherry, it looks like we have a bunch of different kind of items here. Can you sort of walk us down the table?
I'd be happy to. This plaque was given to Warren Harding on the day that he left Marion to go to the White House. That was March 2nd, 1921. The inauguration is going to be 2 days later. And it's from the citizens of Marion, thanking he and Florence for being good citizens and supporting this town. And they only came back to Marion once during the time they were in the White House, and that was for Marion's centennial celebration. So I have a very ordinary item here. This is a shirt collar, and it's just another extra step in getting dressed. Your shirt would not have a collar. You'd have to fasten the collar onto it, but it's always going to look crisp and fresh and formal, and you might change these a couple times a day. And another ordinary thing, this is one of his handkerchiefs, and I know it's really small, but it has a monogram with WGH on it. And we've actually copied that monogram because the Hardings had it also on their linens in the doors here at the library. So there's a lot of details in the design of the building as well. Now this is a Western Union telegram sent to Mr. Harding's father, Dr. George T. Harding, here in Marion, from Florence. This is during the time he's extremely ill in San Francisco, California. They're not sure he's going to make it. And this is dated July 30th, 1923, and he is going to die just a few days later.
He didn't serve the full presidency then.
He did not. He served 29 months. So Calvin Coolidge, his vice president, was sworn in the night of August 2nd. The fedora here, one of my favorites because, again, a very ordinary thing for a man to wear, and it does have his name in here.
There you go, Warren G. Harding.
Yeah, so he wore this hat. It was made in New York. This would have been very recognizable to Mr. Harding. His mother made it.
Oh.
Phoebe Harding made this. It's called a crazy quilt, so no rhyme or reason to it, really. And he was very, very close to his mother. She died in 1910, the same year he lost the race for Ohio governor. And really that took his energy out of that campaign. And then the last item is pretty unusual, but this is a portable movie projector. This was used in the White House. Mr. Harding did embrace technology. And that's when radio is in its infancy, and of course, silent movies.
Were they seeing them at the same time? Did they sometimes get a
They
preview?
They would get a list of ones to choose from. So you might choose a Buster Keaton and a Charlie Chaplin for viewing. They'd invite some friends over, and they'd be upstairs in the residence of the White House. And the hallway would become the impromptu movie theater.
Guess that's a perk of being a president, right?
It is, it is. And the instructions are still inside it.
Oh, that's amazing. So these are a lot of really great items. How did you get a hold of all of this?
This was Mrs. Harding. I put her always at the top of the success of our site today. She had willed the house and the majority of contents to a group called the Harding Memorial Association. Well, most of our presidential sites have not evolved that way. They have sometimes run into disrepair, and then someone has the insight to say, we need to salvage the site, we need to put it back together. That's not our story here. We stayed primarily intact from the time that Mrs. Harding died in 24 till the museum, which was called then, and the home opened in 26 to present day. That's why we have so many things.
Well, thank you so much, Sherry, for opening up your vault to us to see some of these items that are just really unique to the Warren G. Harding Museum.
You're very welcome. We're really excited to have people come here and visit, and excited to share it with you today.
Thank you.
Libraries are an important part of our community. Not only do they supply information in multiple formats, but they're also great gathering places. And here locally, the Columbus Metropolitan Library has been a valuable educational source for years, 150 years to be exact. Next, we look at the history of their evolution into the library system we've come to rely on today. Here's their story.
Open to all. Back in 1873, some of the foundation documents talk about the library being open to every citizen in Columbus. It was so important they decided to carve it in stone, and it is one of our core values today. And so it's just really baked into our philosophy that this is a place where everyone is welcome, everyone is going to get a level of respect and service that spreads across the entire community.
In the 19th century, the idea of a free public library open to everyone in the city was not a common thing like we think of today. Before the Civil War, there were several efforts in Columbus to start a public library. There was the Apprentice Group that tried to start a subscription library in 1831 that lasted for a few years. The Athenaeum in the 1850s lasted until the Civil War started. And then in 1871, after the Civil War, there were a group of Columbus residents who got together and decided to make a request to City Council for a public library. They planned their request, and in 1872 went to City Council, and City Council passed the ordinance for a public library that would be free and open to the whole population of the city. And on March 4th, 1873, the Columbus Metropolitan Library opened in the southeast corner of City Hall. City Hall at that time was where the Ohio Theater is today. They were able to open with about 3,000 books and 96 magazine and newspaper subscriptions. James Grover was named the first librarian. He was the pastor at First Episcopal Church and the namesake of author James Grover Thurber. And we have library card entry where James Thurber, the author, got his first library card, and then he came back as an adult and upgraded to an adult library card. People were so excited to have the public library in City Hall that first they had to expand the hours, then they had to hire additional staff. The second staff person hired was John Pugh, who eventually became the director and our longest serving employee of 65 years. They went back to City Council by 1896 and asked for additional space, and so they were given another room in City Hall that became the first dedicated children's area. Even with all of that, the building was still overflowing with people and books, so it was clear that a new standalone library was needed. So John Pugh decided he was going to go to New York and have a meeting with Andrew Carnegie. So he went to New York. The meeting wasn't really going that well. And then they got on the topic of their shared experience as sons of immigrants. Andrew Carnegie came over from Scotland as a young boy, and John Pugh actually grew up in what was called Wales Alley. A few months later, on December 31st, 1901, the letter was received that Andrew Carnegie had decided to fund the library at the cost of $150,000. Andrew Carnegie's gift actually came with 3 restrictions. One was that the City of Columbus would fund the maintenance for the building, that they would purchase the land for the building, and that the words "My treasures are within" would be on the exterior of the building. So City Council quickly passed the ordinance for the maintenance. That was no problem. The words "My treasures are within," no problem, but the land became an issue. By that point, most of the core of Columbus had been filled in. There weren't a lot of spaces. Thomas Ewing offers to donate the land, this property that's 96 South Grant Avenue. It currently served as the Ohio Governor's Mansion. Rutherford B. Hayes had stayed there. But at that point, it was a little further afield from downtown than people wanted, so there was little controversy around that, but it was just the right size of land, so that was the space that was chosen. The next step was to hire an architect, so they chose Albert Ross, who had actually built several Carnegie libraries already, most notably the Carnegie Building in Washington, D.C. It took 4 years to build this building. About midway in, when they were ready to put the facade on the building, though, they realized they wanted to make a change. So the original plan for the building was going to be a pretty, industrial-looking brick building, and they just decided they wanted that building to be more inspirational. So they decided to upgrade to Vermont marble. So then it was up to John Pugh to write back to Andrew Carnegie and request $50,000. Carnegie wrote back in a telegram right away and agreed and said that his vision was absolutely for this kind of inspirational building. The groundbreaking was March 22nd, 1903. So on that opening day, it was rainy, turned into sleet at one point. 2 of the speakers couldn't make it. Still a wonderful day for the city of Columbus. Thousands of people showed up and got their library cards. One of the really interesting stories of the early Columbus Metropolitan Library building was that it was not only a library. We housed the Columbus Museum of Art before it had its own building over on Broad Street. At one point, we also were the home to the Franklin County Historical Society, which today we know as COSI. And throughout the 20th century, we often had groups that would utilize the library in times of crisis. When the City Hall building burned, the mayor's office and city council moved into what was the auditorium in the basement of Main Library. During the 1913 flood, the library served as a place for families who had been disconnected from each other to reconnect. The librarians actually kept a role to connect people, and it was also just a place for people who had lost their homes or their homes were flooded to come together and get services that they needed to be able to rebuild. During World War II, the library served as the Civilian Information Center, so that would have been a place not only to get information about what was happening in the war, but also to check and see who had been killed in action that day. If that was your family member, you would come to the library and there would be a list. Almost as soon as the Carnegie Library opened, it became clear that branch libraries were needed. There were so many people that were coming to the main library that there was congestion on Grant Avenue. There were reports in the newspaper that you couldn't even find a hitching post for your horse at certain times of the day. Then World War I breaks out, kind of ends that conversation for a while. By 1928, there was again another citizen-led effort to start thinking about branch libraries. And it was actually the Federation of Women's Clubs, women who got together, marched down to City Hall and asked City Council for branch libraries in their neighborhoods. A couple weeks later, City Council passed that ordinance and the first 4 branches were established. They were Clintonville, Linden, Parsons, and Hilltop. During the Great Depression, we were able to expand further out in the county through what we called county station libraries. So these were small library deposits, maybe 500 to 1,000 books. They would be in schools or firehouses. These eventually became some of our next branches in the branch lineup: Gahanna, Reynoldsburg, Hilliard, Dublin. So after World War II, Columbus begins to expand exponentially. So you start to see the growth of the suburbs. It became clear yet again that this Carnegie Main Library was not going to be large enough for the city of Columbus. So there were a series of expansions to the building. Mostly those early expansions housed books and staff offices. By the 1980s though, even that was not going to be enough. So we embarked on a new building campaign that basically set up the footprint of the library that you see today, with the new addition to the back of the Carnegie Library and the additional space that offers.
When you think of 150 years and a library being funded 8 years after the Civil War, but then going through so much of what this country has experienced during that time, the Roaring '20s, the Great Depression, not one pandemic that we all know of, but two pandemics, 2 world wars, the uprising of the 1960s. The library was always here to support the community in whatever was happening related to their information needs, and I think that's such an important legacy.
Space travel has been the dream of many children since the beginning of the space program back in the 1960s. Although many astronauts have made that epic trip, only one man was the first to step on the moon, and he happens to be from here in Ohio. We're talking about Neil Armstrong, and the Ohio History Connection's Armstrong Air Space Museum in Wapakoneta has been honoring his life for 50 years. We head over there to learn more about the museum's history and its significance to the community.
I believe that this nation should commit itself to achieving the goal before this decade is out of landing a man on the moon and returning him safely to the earth. No single space project in this period will be more impressive to mankind or more important for the long-range exploration of space.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
My name is Owen Milnes, and I am the author of the article on the Armstrong Museum. I thought this article was important to write because obviously the moon landing is one of the most important events in human history. Having such an integral piece of that event be linked right here to Ohio is something that should be commemorated.
When I was a child growing up, it was quite common to go visit friends and relatives on Sundays. And I'll never forget, as a child, I was probably 8 or 9 years old, Viola Armstrong, Neil's mother, were at this get-together that we had out on a farm, and my father asked her, you know, how's your family doing and what's going on? She said, well, I'm quite concerned right now that Neil just got a new job. He is going to become a test pilot. And boy, my ears perked up. And had I known then, when I was an 8 or 9 year old, that what was going to happen.
Oh, geez, that's great. Is the lighting halfway decent? Yes, indeed. They've got the flag up now, and you can see the stars and stripes.
When we were landing on the moon in 1969, many people, including Armstrong, really thought that we would take it up beyond Apollo and start colonizing the moon and have a permanent moon base there. So when the architects started designing this museum, they really kept that in mind. This is sort of what we imagined it would look like, minus the grass.
If you ever had any question in the back of your mind whether or not man has landed on the moon, a lot of those questions are answered right here at the museum.
Something interesting I learned was just the sense of pride that the community has in the Armstrong Museum and how they can kind of look at it and say, okay, something great happened here. We're going to honor that, but then we're going to use this to propel society forward.
I think the things that I find most interesting are the people that come in, and a lot of them have stories of Apollo 11, whether they worked on the project or they were, a child at home sitting on the floor at their grandparents' house watching. People really felt that they were a part of this, and I think Armstrong knew that as well, that it was bigger than him or Aldrin or the crew. People feel that they were a part of this mission as well.
I just see it as a beginning, not just this flight, but in this program, which has really been a very short piece of human history, an instant in history.
Thanks for being with us, and remember you can catch all our episodes on columbusneighborhoods.org. Plus see our stories on the WSU mobile app. And you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and X. We'll see you back here next week on Columbus Neighborhoods.